week's episode of Blog Talk TV, the social media inspired talk show where we feature some of the country's biggest bloggers.
Yeah, and we feature the impact they've been able to make on their community and offer you some how-to blogging tips.
Yeah, I'm Bess Hour of Gotta Get Blogging, and you are right here in my kitchen along with Ben and several of my closest friends and crew members.
That's right. You can find me at orlandowaterhole.com and download on iTunes. And on today's show, we're featuring Adam Avitable, who is a best-selling author, comedian, member of the planning team, and he is going to talk to us all about how to improve our writing, be better writers.
And you know, and actually his writing is on his blog is very intertwined with his book. And so, interesting story that he's going to share with us. Have you turned your blog into a book?
No, I haven't.
You know, you should. That would be a natural, especially with your adventures with Ben.
I have never thought of that until this moment that you just brought it up. Because I've got a lot of stories that I could probably
I need royalties on it then.
Well, okay, you'll get a penny a sale. 1 cent. There's residuals.
No, I really think it would be good. You know, Swimmer Joe. So my husband, Swimmer Joe. Hi, Joe.
Hi.
So he turned his blog into a book. So he blogs about swimming moments. Sometimes they're past memories of things that he did while growing up. And they're great anecdotal stories. And so he actually downloaded all the blogs. You know how you can export the data from WordPress. And then you can create an ebook using just Word or Pages. And then you can sell it on Amazon.
You know, Bess, I had a whole plan for my blog this year. And now you've just given me a project to completely sidetrack to get me excited. And, well, maybe this is a possibility.
You know, quite a few bloggers have taken their blog and parlayed it into a book. Kale French of An Appealing Plan, she's a blogger down in Florida that actually did a whole Kickstarter campaign to be able to bring her blog not only to an ebook, to a regular hardbound book. And so she raised the money she needed, and it's out there. And now she's doing a whole round of guest appearances. Maybe we'll try and get her on the show here with that.
And one of my favorites is from Lisa Chavez and Cheryl McDonald, What Boundaries? Live Your Dream.
Yeah.
They took their blog, travel blog, and it's a great, funny book. They have a great personality when you see them in person, and then the book just speaks right to that voice.
You can actually do two, not only the travel one, but you could do a local one for your water hole.
I've thought about that too.
Yeah,
That's coming
there
up
we
soon.
go. So we've got a great show coming up. Stay tuned. We're going to take a quick blogging tip break.
Hey guys, it's Katie Wittrick from katiewittrick.com, and today I want to remind you about the power of the guest post. Not just accepting them and getting some other viewpoints on your own site, but giving them. Why not reach out to bloggers that you've met, or maybe go out to bloggers whom you admire? Ask if you can write a post on their sites. It can be a different perspective on a topic that they're interested in, or it can be something that you're passionate about that maybe you want to expose their audience to. A few tips: make sure that you introduce yourself, make sure that it's all about what you're providing that blogger's audience, not just about what you're getting. And if you get the chance to do it, make sure that you make it as easy as possible for that blogger to post your content. Include a bio about yourself, a headshot, and any other images you'd like to put in there. All of the formatting should be done. And here's a really big tip: if you can, send the HTML. That's the code for the blogger. So all they have to do is paste it into their editor, and all of the formatting comes with it. Again, it's Katie Wittrick with katiewittrick.com's tip of the day.
So if you like that blogging tip, be sure to check out more at gottagetblogging.com.
Adam Avitable, everybody!
Yay! Wait. He is used to performing in front of a live crowd, so crew. There we go.
So Adam is from avitable.com.
You almost mispronounced it too. It's all right. It's all right.
So Adam is a published author, stand-up comedian, and planning committee member for FLBlogCon.
Yep.
And glad to have you here. I always feel like the moment I say stand-up comedian, people think, oh my God, he's going to just be funny. But when I interviewed you in the past, there's a very different side of you that I've seen.
Well, I mean, it's still a job. So I'm funny when I get paid to be funny, you know, or if it strikes me. But a lot of comedians are actually kind of darker people, more serious than you think, because they have to think about a lot of things. So that's a big part of it.
Well, and that's why we brought you here today is your writing style.
Are we paying you for this?
I don't know. Did we talk about that?
Okay, so you don't
We'll
have
see.
to be funny.
Okay, good.
You don't have to be
Good.
funny.
That's good.
But you write with a very distinct voice.
I do.
That I think it's very clear. You're consistent with how you write, and your personality comes through. And I think a lot of us bloggers can learn how you do that and how we can, make our own voice come to life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he actually does a great workshop all about content and helping bloggers develop their voice. What are some of the things that you cover?
A lot of it's about how to edit, how to discover your voice, how to learn how to write better, and a lot of it is actually dispensing with the idea of worrying about writing to make money, which I know a lot of people talk about monetizing, but I don't think you should. I think that sometimes you need to write for you and that people will appreciate it when they actually see it.
So let's begin at the beginning. Tell us about your blog, Avitable.com, and what do you typically write about?
Well, it started off as a personal blog back in 1998, I think is when I first started it, hand coding HTML, and then it's just turned into more of a humor blog and still personal. I got divorced, talk about divorce, depression. So it's got serious and funny things, and it's not exactly children friendly. I'd say it's not safe for work or
Not safe for work.
church or your grandma, So, but it's it's everything in my life basically. It's a very open book.
But your grandma might like it.
She would, yeah, she probably would, but she'd strike me down right now. But she saw half the stuff I wrote on that.
So really though, you're my favorite PG-13 blogger. And I say PG-13, it sometimes goes a little rated R.
Well, it's like
but-
PG-13 back in like the 80s when there was still some brief nudity. Yeah, okay, so yeah, that's still PG-13.
So I think we have a screenshot of the blogging tip that you gave at our last major blogging conference. So take a look at this and you'll see what we mean by that whole PG-13 / maybe a little more.
Adam, you've talked a lot about the need for great writing in a blog. So just tell us, what do you think is great writing?
I think great writing is something that dispenses with pretense, and also it's not something where you're considering who you're writing for or what you're writing. You're getting your message out there, and then you're going back and maybe tweaking and editing it. If you think too much about what you're writing, it ends up being stilted, it ends up feeling forced, and that's not great writing.
Mm-hmm. So why is great writing important for bloggers?
Because I think crappy writing just makes people look at blogs and say it's amateur. I think bloggers have started to become a more distinct voice, more professional voice in news, in just in the world. People give it a little more respect, and if someone writes terribly, then it just hurts all bloggers.
Mm-hmm. And you actually know what you're talking about because you are a published novelist, or I guess it's a novel, not
Humorist?
a novel.
I don't know what you want to call it.
Humorist,
Yeah,
not a
I don't
novel.
know. Yeah.
So tell us about your book.
I wrote a book called Interviews with Dead Celebrities, which started off as a series of blog posts where after celebrities died, I would actually interview them, fake interview. And it got a little metaphysical at times, and I decided it was so popular to condense them into a book and then write another like 15 to 20 interviews that are in the book only. And it started off with Casey Anthony.
I was going to say,
actually.
who are some of the celebrities you
Well,
interviewed?
the reason I started doing it was actually really dark. It was Casey Anthony's daughter.
Okay, and so
Yeah,
for
it
those
was
of
a-
you who don't remember
Yes.
the media
Although
storm
anybody-
that
yeah.
happened in Florida when Casey Anthony's daughter disappeared and was later found tragically.
So I interviewed her daughter,
Right.
And it was very dark but very serious about the fact that the media was turning it into this circus, even though everyone knew it actually happened. And it got so popular, I started interviewing other people. So Whitney Houston is in there, Michael Jackson. I'm trying to remember who else.
Who's been your
Phil
favorite
Hartman.
celebrity you've interviewed?
Which is such a weird question because it just makes me sound like I'm schizophrenic. I'm basically interviewing myself. I actually spent a lot of time researching them and reading and listening to their interviews on YouTube and everything so that I can actually capture their voice. So I have two that are favorites. One would be George Carlin. Because he was a hero of mine as far as comedy, and I wrote the interview, and I had several actual comedians read it and say that they thought that could have been George Carlin saying it, which was really nice.
Really?
And then Steve Jobs.
What a compliment.
It was amazing. Steve Jobs is actually my favorite one though because I had a hard time writing it, and it was one of those things where I just started talking, and it worked into actually one of the best pieces I've written.
So, real quick, George Carlin, did he talk about his days on Thomas the Tank Engine?
No, he did not. We did not go there.
He was on.
You need to
Thomas
go back.
I couldn't
and
control where the interview
re-interview.
went. It just kind of flowed. It did. It just flowed naturally whenever I wrote
Yeah,
it.
see, okay, so my son, Jackson, he's now 18 years old, an adult as he constantly reminds me. So Thomas the Tank Engine, we did a whole solid two, Joe, what do you think, 2 years? Solid of Thomas the Tank Engine, 2 years?
Oh, yeah.
So, so George Carlin is in the videos. He's the little teeny 6-inch tall conductor.
No kidding.
Yeah, so.
One
there we
of
go.
the things you mentioned in your in your interviews, you did a lot of research to get the voice of those celebrities, and I think that's one tip that a lot of bloggers can take away from is the need to do some research and to back up the story that you're telling with just basic fact and just updating like times and dates and prices if you're talking about event things. A little bit of research, I think, probably goes a long way.
It does, for anything, actually, anything in social media, so you can not be one of those idiots who share something that's either a parody news site or something that's completely unverified, you know.
Well, you know what I like, Adam? You're really our first blogger that we've had on here that really embraces the stylistic and really goes into what's basically fiction versus, you know, blogging about events or food or fashion. So I love having you on here.
Okay.
What are some other ways that bloggers can improve their writing? Are there things that you see at a website that you're like, oh, if they only just did this a little bit better?
Write more is really, the more you write, the better. You know, I don't know how many, I have several thousand posts on my site, and it only gets better each time I write. And learn how to edit. Editing is one of the biggest things you can do, because if you can edit, then you can actually cut out some of the crap and some of the superfluous words that people like to use first, second, you know, things like that.
Do you have a suggestion on how long a blog post should be? Does that make a difference?
However long you need to get your message. I mean, when I got divorced, it took me 4 hours to write the post, and they only ended up being 200 words long, and it's one of the most powerful things that I wrote as a result. You know, because I edited it down, and 200 words was enough for me to actually say what I needed.
We've talked about your voice. How can other bloggers develop their own voice? And what exactly does it mean when we say voice?
Your voice is something that's distinct, so when people read it, they say, well, this sounds like this person, which is hard, and not everybody's ever going to get there. In fact, it's just something you can aspire to, but you should never assume you're actually going to get there. I don't think I'm there. But you want to be able to write in a way that when you read your own words, you feel, this is me. This is my genuine voice. This is not me talking to an audience. This is me just being me.
And I think that's so important to come across as authentic and really connect with your audience better, that they feel that they're getting to know the real you.
Because one loyal reader who likes your voice is worth 100 just click-throughs. People who just click, glance, and never come back.
God, I love that. Music to my ears.
So you said you've written 1,000 posts.
I think it's like 2,800. Maybe there's 3,000 on there. I don't know. I don't pay attention.
That's a lot of. What's your writing schedule like?
Now it's sparse because comedy takes up a lot of time. But it used to be I would write a post a day. So every day of the year. I think for probably 4 years I wrote a post every day of the year, and so that really added to the number.
Do you have a favorite blog post or topic that you've blogged about?
I don't really, because I read about pretty much every topic. In fact, on my site itself, when I do a little sidebar that has the like post to read if you're new to the site, it took me a hard time to narrow it down to like 30, because I was like, oh, this one's humor, this one's dark, this one's really personal and raw, and so it was very difficult to do that.
Do you have any topics that are off limits?
Nope. Not a thing.
And I know that because I read your blog.
You've read my blog. I mean, we talked about my grandmother, actually. I interviewed her after she died. But it was the day after she died, and so it made the funeral a little awkward with my family because they didn't really appreciate my sense of humor. But yeah, so nothing is off.
Probably great therapy for you.
It was my way of processing it, and it wasn't insulting to her at all. It was insulting to me, but it was saying that she was watching me and the things that I was doing embarrassed her because she could see me at home in the bedroom alone, you know. So things like that. So. Yeah, so my family didn't appreciate that. But
watching TV.
Watching TV. Yeah, there was something on TV.
Sorry, I'm just trying to imagine my grandmother.
See? Just imagine if she could see everything you've done.
When you put a face to the image, it just becomes a little bit stronger. So we have more with Adam coming up. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll come back.
Hi, I'm Professor Josh, and I'm back with you again today to show you another great app. So if you're like me, I hate trying to go in Photoshop and cut an image out and really focus on, getting rid of maybe the white background or colored background where you want to take something out to be able to use in a blog, in a presentation, any kind of thing you want to take something to turn it into a PNG and cut out the image. So it's really hard to do. So I'm going to show you clipping magic today. So I'm going to go right on to the site. You're able to drag and drop an image right in and upload it right to their server. It's only $3.99 for 15 images a month. They can roll over if you don't use them, or you can get a professional plan for more, just depending on what you need to use it for. So a great thing about it is once you upload that image, you go right in there and play with it. You're able to do green, what you want to keep, red, what you want to get rid of, and it shows you a preview of what it's getting rid of, the results right there on the screen. So it's a great way for you to be able to see what you're doing as you're doing it. So you don't have to worry about, playing with it over and over again. If you want to find Clipping Magic, just go to clippingmagic.com. If you want to find out more tips and tricks, visit professorjosh.com and I can explain more to you.
So great stuff from Professor Josh as always.
So Adam, we've got our social media question of the show. That was for
Jazz
Chantel.
hands.
Or is that we're confusing ourselves now?
No, it's
is it the
always
question of the
for
show?
the question of
question of the
jazz
show.
hands.
Jazz hands. I'm confused. Today's question comes to us from Krista Joy of DisneyWays.com. And Krista asks, how many social media networks do I need to be on? Bess, what would you say?
That whole word need. And I think a lot of times new bloggers especially are overwhelmed because so many are telling them you need to be on Facebook, you need to be on Twitter, you need to be on YouTube, you need to be this, and it becomes overwhelming when really you don't need to be on everything. We always follow the rule you need to be where your audience is. And a great example of this is my blog, Florida Swim Network, that I do with my husband. So Florida Swim Network covers competitive swimming, and so a lot of our audience are teenagers that are still competing and swimming. And for a while they were all on Facebook, but as we know, many teenagers are not visiting Facebook quite as often, and now they've become early adapters to Instagram, and we actually see them growing on Twitter. So we actually changed our strategy to start adapting a lot more Instagram into our marketing campaign. So for us, our rule of thumb is go where your audience is. Where do they want to connect with you?
And I would say, for me, I started out on everything because I heard, you need to be everywhere. And I found that I was doing all of them very poorly. And I couldn't get a good strategy for any single one of them. So then I said, let's step back for a moment. And I wanted to just really focus on what's one or two that I could do really, really well, that I had a lot of passion behind. So I've talked a lot about Instagram. I love Instagram, so I do that quite a bit. And then slowly, you branch out into the other ones as your time, capacity, and creativity can commit. Because it's time consuming to go on all of those different networks. But I will say that even if you're not on a certain social network, to always register your name, just so you have it just in case.
Yeah. What do you think?
All of them. No, I mean, seriously, because you don't know which one's going to end up being stronger than others. I mean, I'm Avitable everywhere you can imagine. I want to have that username so it's consistent. So, I mean, Pinterest, Vine, Twitter, Instagram, Plurk, LO, Facebook, Adult Friend Finder.
All right, you named something I have no idea what it
LinkedIn,
is.
Plurk, that was before Twitter.
You knew what I was asking.
Yeah, I know.
What is that?
That was before Twitter. And I had an account on there, it died out. But
Does it still
Plurk and
okay.
Twitter started at the same time. And so you didn't know which one, so I had both.
So what did you do on Plurk?
Same thing as Twitter, it just wasn't as
You
user-friendly.
plurked instead of tweeted?
I think.
Too bad for those Plurk
Great
people.
name. I love
I know,
that
and I think
name.
I like the name better than Twitter. Yeah, so I think anytime an account comes, like I have, like I said, LO, the new one that's out there, I have that one. I would say everything you possibly can. You didn't hear the other one I said because you were thinking
I
about
heard
Plurk. You heard it.
Let me ask
Wait,
you-
was it PG rated?
Kind of.
Yeah. I want to know everyone's opinion on Facebook. Is it worth investing time in Facebook?
Yes. Yeah, it is. I think you have to. For me, for comedy, I mean, my comedy page, when I put graphics up there with my material, it gets shared, it gets likes, and I don't actually have to do too much work with it. If one person likes it, if it's good content, it'll get shared. That's really the important thing. If it's crappy content, it's not going to get shared. But it gets shared, it gets pulled out of there. I've had people take it from my page. It's gone on the Chive, it's gone on Reddit, places like that too, which are good.
For Florida Swim Network, it's still the #1 driver to our website. Even with the organic reach declining, we do take time to boost occasional posts. We never boost more than $5 at a time, so it still limits the reach. But even without boosting, it's still our #1 driver to our website. So for us, Facebook is still a necessary.
That's good to know. So we'd love to hear your thoughts on today's topic. What do you think about how many social networks you need to be on? You can send them to us via Twitter at Blog Talk TV. Make sure you let us know. And if you've got a question that you would like for us to answer on the show, just send us an email address to bess@flblogcon.com and include your social media profiles and we'll give you a shout out.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, so we're going to wrap up with Show and Tell, where we highlight our favorite tweets, blogs, apps, tech gear, and more. And if you have something that you would like us to check out and see, one of your favorite posts that you wrote, you can email that to us too, or you send us a note on Twitter. So Bess, what do you have for us?
I have, which is just a genius an idea. So for those of you not familiar with Jason's Surfer app, formerly jasonheadset.com, formerly Jason Sadler. So Jason Sadler is this genius marketing guy, and he started the iwearyourshirt.com, where he'd wear a different shirt every day of the year. Brands would pay him to wear a shirt for that day, and he'd tweet out a picture of him and he'd do a live stream show. And so he then got tired of doing that. So then he sold his last name. He had an auction. I think he got like $40,000 to sell his last name. He's done it twice now. Yeah. And he's always thinking of new ideas. Well, his latest idea was this creativity for sale. He said, guys, I'm going to write a book. I don't know what it's going to be about, but I'm going to write a book, and it's going to be really awesome, and you want to be a part of it. So if you pay me some money, I'll put a tweet at the bottom of each one. In fact, I'm going to pull up my tweet that I did. So every single page has a tweet. Let me get to my page number. Page 181 is ours. Let's see if you guys can focus on that. So at the very bottom of the page, of every single page, is a tweet that people paid money to have their tweet put on the bottom. So he sold out all these pages, over 200 pages in here, paid I think we paid $81 or something for ours, whatever it was, sold the back cover, all of that. So he marketed this whole book, had it paid for before he wrote one word of it. So the book he made thousands on, and then he actually wrote this really great book about how he comes up with these genius ideas. And now you can have your very own copy for $24.99. So Jason, amazing idea. I'm trying to get my brain around how to replicate it. So there we go. What do you have?
I came across this really interesting blog post from Jalopnik, which I had not heard of, which is, you said was an auto
It's a site for auto fetishists. I mean, auto fans.
And the article was, owning a Ferrari for a year was a disappointment. And
what?
See, and that's exactly why I wanted to point out this as a great example of a blog, because it piques your curiosity right away, right? So if you can come up with a catchy headline that grabs people, it came across a Facebook newsfeed. You know how we get thousands of those a week, right? This one stood out among the others.
Somehow owning a used Prius for a year doesn't have quite the same punch as
but a Ferrari. I don't know if either of you have owned a Ferrari before. No, but here, we'll tweet out the link. Sadly,
not this lifetime.
And we've got some screenshot pictures too. But here's what it came down to: is it seemed like it was a lot of effort. Because right here they read, at every light, the guy next to you will ask what it cost. At every gas station, a guy in a Chevy pickup will come over and ask if you want to trade. People take pictures of it next to it, and kids want to be in it so they can put a video on YouTube. Like, it just became a burden, it would seem, for this person
I am
driving
so
around
sorry.
with a Ferrari.
My heart does not go out to this guy. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Who is it that wrote this? I won't say his name, but are you kidding me?
Yeah,
Doug.
That sounds whiny, I think. I think, honestly, it's like if you're famous or something and someone wants to take pictures with you, they're just
God,
so
not
much effort.
another person asking me how many thousands I paid for my Ferrari.
Then there's the issue of actually driving it. A lot of car enthusiasts make fun of Ferrari owners, since the typical car owner covers only 2 to 3 miles a year. In the last year, they put over 5,000, and I found it difficult for mileage. So anyway, what do you got for us?
I just have my book. Love it. Which is Interviews with Dead Celebrities. It's on Amazon right now, and there'll be a sequel coming out at some point. But it has all content, some on the site, but some all brand new. I also I'm going to be working on adapting that to a TV show, a screenplay. That's something I didn't tell you guys. Yeah, so that'll be something to keep an eye out on Avitable.com for.
All right. So where can we find you online?
Avitable.com or @Avitable on every social media in existence.
All right.
And you can find me at OrlandoWaterhole.com. Download the show on iTunes. Tell your friends.
And you can find me at gottagetblogging.com, or you can connect with me on Twitter at Bess_hour. So that wraps it up for this week. We're out of time. Thanks, everybody.